Good evening, humans. Tyrannosaurusmoth here, and tonight we're taking a look at the Savage Crucible Imperial Sentry Con exclusive from Harvinger Studios. Let's do this. Aesthetically speaking, this figure is gorgeous, and much like Nin Villemere, you can just feel all the love that went into this figure from the sculpt and the paint. Just everything just feels completely dialed in that regard. And yeah, much like Nin Villemere, we've got sculpt on literally every inch of this figure that it makes sense to do so. Obviously, you're not going to get it on the actual like discs for the joints and such, but everything else is fully sculpted, and that is beautiful. We don't get a wash like we did on Nin Villemere, but we do get this nice stark color contrast between this like not quite a mustard yellow, but definitely a very deep yellow, and then this kind of darker brown with kind of a reddish base, and just have a really nice look to it. Then of course we get these black marks just like we did actually on Nin Villemere. And those are throughout the body itself. And then we get the armor, and I really like that they went with this like almost bright metallic light pink, which is a nice contrast to the more grounded earthen colors of the rest of the actual base body. And then we get to the face, and beautiful head sculpt, obviously very lizard inspired, and the eyes, just this is probably my favorite eyes on any figure this year, because they got that red, and not only did they do the pupil, but they did the yellow around it, which just gives it that extra bit of pop, that extra bit of reality. Just absolutely love it. Look at the mouth, and gorgeous sculpt all around, very much accurate to what you would see for a lizard. Not only that, but a nice semi-gloss to kind of give it more of a wet look. All the teeth are very like precision painted, so like they're all separated, there's no slop going on whatsoever. And yeah, just good stuff going all around. And then the sculpt on that armor itself, we get all these kind of serpentine designs everywhere. We get this kind of bluish metal kind of base for the whole thing, and then just a slight more gray touch for some of the straps. And yeah, just good stuff all around. Just absolutely gorgeous looking figure. Not a ton of accessories here, but what we have here is pure quality. So starting off with hands right out of the box, we do get a pair of grips, fully painted. Then we get a pair of kind of posed / relaxed hands. Very nice kind of dark wash going over that as well, which I almost didn't even notice in the previous section. So excellent touch. Then we get two pairs of swords, and I'm very happy to say that. I'm smiling even literally just uttering that sentence. So first we get, I think these swords do come with one of the other figures, but we see these scimitar style. We got this really nice like dark gray metallic finish, lots of nicks and dings from wear. Then we get that nice wrap going on, and then this nice kind of claw almost looking piece to the end of it. So excellent sculpt there. And then we get these translucent swords, which I believe are exclusive to this figure. And I think this sculpt might be used for another figure, but not in this kind of almost gummy worm looking translucent plastic. It looks delicious. It is so good. So we get that, you know, kind of reddish orange going into yellow. Really nice translucency as well, as you can see. And then these awesome looking handles, just some nice designs. Again, we get that dark silver going on as the finish for the metal, and then just some nice hand wraps going on with that dark wash going on over that to give it some age. And yeah, just absolutely wonderful accessories. Articulation here is absolutely wonderful and innovative. The balance is another story, and I went over this in the Nin Villemere review, but I'll go over it again here. And it really comes down to the last thing we're going to talk about anyway. So getting into the articulation breakdown, we do have a barbell joint coming from the body into the head, and that allows us for some absolutely insane up, some wonderful down. There's our neutral. We get tons of tilt. We get rotation, of course. Then we get to the shoulders, and kind of hidden by the armor here, but we do get a tiny bit of back, and then some really nice forward, which is going to help with those double-handed sword holding poses. Pardon me. And then we come up to the shoulders, hinge and swivel. We get perfect T. We do get bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, which we're actually only getting 90, mostly due to the sculpt here. And that is the forearm piece, that's not an overlay. We do get hinge and swivel at the wrists. It's vertical for the grips and then horizontal for the other hands, as it should be. We do get a ball joint in the diaphragm, ball joint in the waist, giving us perfect crunch. Insane arch, though watch out for the gap. And then just the most natural side to side I think I've felt in a long time. Then we get rotation from both of those joints, go anywhere you want to go. So you get all the way around, come to the hips and come out, almost full splits, positively beautiful. We do get thigh swivel. You can actually see the cut there. Get double jointed knees, which do have pretty heavy detents, which is nice. So that brings us to about there. We actually get rotation at both the top and bottom of the knee because this knee joint, same with the elbows, is a separate piece. So we're getting rotation there as well as rotation here, which I forgot to mention. So all the rotation there. Then let's talk about the tail first before we get to the last piece. And this is hinge and swivel at the base. You can see that joint there. So you can come around there. Then we get the same thing here for, actually it's ball joints, I'm sorry, for 1, 2, 3, and 4. Looks totally natural. I love this scheme and I wish more companies would do this. I understand it's probably more expensive or kind of a more difficult way to do it, but the results just speak for themselves. I like this even better than bendy wire, to be completely honest. So there's that. And then we get to the ankles and we do get rotation there at the bottom right below the armor. We do get some really nice point, some decent up, and a toe hinge. And the problem here with the balance is that, you know, I have applied a lot of joint tightener here and it took like 3 or 4 applications and it's definitely tighter. It can definitely hold a kind of neutral position. But they just, it doesn't allow, the freestanding kick is one thing, that's my thing. But like, it is definitely difficult to get the balance because these do not bear the weight of the figure, especially if it has the armor here. It's just very top heavy and it just does not lend itself with the way that these end up being. And I don't think it's so much the engineering as much as the application. Making toys is definitely a very difficult process and stuff like that. And I just don't think the toes kind of taking up a third of the foot help it any because it doesn't have any more stability past this point. So that's unfortunate, but overall, just really, really good articulation. Getting into size comparisons, here he is with some other anthropomorphic saurians and reptilians. With some domestics. With some imports. With some monsters. Finally, with articulated icons Oni and yours truly in human form as a Valorous Action Force figure. So my final thoughts on the Savage Crucible Imperial Sentry from Harvinger Studios is that this is a great figure. There's just so much going on here. You can feel the love going into it. And again, I know I'm echoing a lot of thoughts that I had in the Nin Villamir figure. But I mean, again, this is built off the same base, the same buck. And yeah, just a lot of those things apply. There's just so much going on here. This is such an ambitious line and I fully implore you to support it if any of this calls to you. You know, that my only gripe with these figures has been the ankles and the toes. And it's a sticking point for me only because I definitely value solidity, certainly being able to like put a figure on a shelf and not want it to fall. And I do think that's fixable. Again, I've applied a lot of joint fix. It hasn't worked yet. I think I can definitely find something to work, but everything else is just so good about these figures. There's so much going on and it's absolutely worth supporting, I think, especially because there are companies that are putting this much ambition into lines, just something you don't see. And, you know, I feel like I didn't fully get that across in the last review, and I hope that this comes across here, that I do fully support this. I think this is awesome. Again, it's reptilians. I mean, I just can't. That's obviously a very personal chord for me. So this is the con exclusive, and as far as I know, this was pretty much, you either got it at the cons or you got it on the Kickstarter, which I was definitely not going to pass up, and that is it. So I don't think this is showing up again. However, the other figures are built off this base, or at least the ones for this wave. So definitely like check those out once all the pre-orders and the Kickstarter orders go out and they finally put in their extra stock up online. Check them out. They're definitely worth seeing. So that being said, I hope you found this review informative and somewhat entertaining. And if you did, come on back because I do multiple reviews a week of action figures related to tokusatsu, dinosaurs, monsters, pro wrestling, and more. So if any of that appeals to you, come on back. Let's talk about some really nice plastic. Just escape the world for a while. And at the end of the day, I just hope you're well. Hope that all of your toy dreams come true. And most importantly, I hope that you and yours stay weird, simians.